Okay, let's dive in. We're gonna tackle a story today that really shows how pure product mastery, maybe with a bit of mystique thrown in, can just completely shake up a market.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about Uncle's Farm and what some people are calling the Piattella Revolution.
Exactly. And we're digging into an article from Nug Notes that sort of lays it all out.
It really gets into how this whole thing bubbled up.
So our mission here is to unpack that.
Yeah.
How did this low-key operation out of Barcelona manage to redefine quality and make such a global splash?
Yeah.
Pretty much just based on the product
Yeah.
and the mystery around it all.
Well, the first thing that jumps out from the source is just the enigma of the founder, ZO,
Well,
also known as Uncle or sometimes Don Piattella.
right, total mystery man. The article highlights, zero interviews, no photos, nothing. Just these cryptic lines like, I'm nobody, but nobody can be me.
And Don Piattella, it sounds almost like a character.
It does. And the source mentions this thing about maybe needing a DM and a passport photo just to get into their club. That creates this instant feeling of exclusivity. It's not your usual approach.
And that mystique, it kind of forces you to just focus on the actual product, which is Piattella.
Okay, so Piattella, the source is pretty clear. This isn't just, hash that says it rewrote the playbook. What does that actually mean? What's different?
So it's solventless, right? But it's all about this specific soft cure. The descriptions are great texture, like cake, almost like chilled fondant is what they say.
Chilled fondant, okay.
Yeah, super soft when it's cold. And the flavor is apparently just, yeah, wow. Super terpene rich, brings back memories, gets you the cultivar's full expression. That's the quote.
And that kind of result doesn't just happen, right? The techniques must be pretty specific. The source talks about that.
Oh, yeah, very specific. It starts with fresh frozen material. That's like crucial for getting what they call full melt.
Right, the really pure stuff that leaves basically no residue.
Exactly. That's the gold standard. Then they cold cure it, but specifically in glass. Seems like that holds on to the terpenes way better.
Okay, glass jars. Makes sense.
And then the final touch is storing it in this special oxidation-resistant foil. Seems like a small detail, but it's vital for keeping it fresh, stopping it from degrading, Protects the flavor and smell.
So it's that whole chain, the fresh frozen, the glass cold cure, the protective foil.
Yeah.
That's what makes it full melt and preserves that flavor profile. That's the core innovation.
That seems to be it. The source calls it a practice, which I think is interesting. Not just a product. It implies like constant attention, manual checks, micro adjustments. It's very hands-on, not some big industrial process.
Okay, so they nail this practice in Barcelona. How does it go from, one club to this global thing?
Well, the source tracks it. Apparently, Zio had these two styles before, and he kind of fused them into Piattella. They even branded it Home of the Cannolo.
Cannolo. Okay.
Yeah. But the big spark, the thing that really got global eyes on it, was Spannabis in 2022. That lit the fuse. By 2023, it wasn't just a product, it was like a movement in the hash scene.
And then they jumped over to the US, right? That's a big...
It's a huge step. January 2024. And they didn't just sneak it in. They partnered officially with Kalya Extracts, got amplified by big names like Puffco, through their Jolly Roger and Astor Club stuff.
Wow, so a proper launch.
Totally proper. And the source notes they had super strict rules for the U.S. stuff. Only indoor resin, specific hand-picked cuts, absolutely no shortcuts. Maintaining that quality was paramount.
It's pretty amazing thinking about this operation starting in Barcelona's kind of gray zone, as the article puts it, but having these incredibly high internal standards and a really distinct philosophy, too.
Absolutely. The source points out they weren't just chasing THC percentages, which is, pretty common. They were deliberately going after flavor.
Flavor over hype.
Exactly. And they did it, apparently, with no outside investors, no selling out, just building this culture kind of silently around the product itself. They even did this cool thing sharing Piattella foils, like samples with others, calling it R&D for meltheads.
Huh. R&D for meltheads. That's good. So, building the community and pushing the quality standard together.
Yeah, seems like it. And clearly, that focus worked. The reception was, well, pretty incredible.
What do the reviews say?
The source pulls some quotes like, cerebral lift, body melt, musky, fruity, gassy, 55. Even Forbes apparently called it a transcendental experience.
Transcendental, wow.
Yeah, and they mentioned specific strain like strawberry guava, strawberry Z getting that kind of praise, so it wasn't just a one-off, consistent quality.
So it all comes back around, doesn't it? Like the source argues, it proves the mystery. When it's backed by real mastery, it still works. It still matters in this market. ZO stays hidden, lets the product, the melt, do the talking.
It's a powerful case study, really. Relentless focus on quality, letting that quality be the marketing, building a global name purely on substance, and yeah, that deliberate mystique.
So maybe the question for you listening is, what do you make of this? A founder who stays completely unseen, building this global reputation just on purity, technique, and yes, mystery, not on typical branding or big investment.
Yeah.
How did that challenge our usual ideas about success, about transparency in today's really noisy markets? What can we take away from that practice approach? Definitely something to think about.